Are you setting expectations? Are you creating support and coaching to help them reach those expectations? Are you holding your team accountable, creating accountability structures in your business to get them to do what you want? If you want to grow a 7-figure business, you must first become a 7-figure human. And so if you are a lazy sack of if you complain versus looking for solutions, if you are not a figure it outer, if you're not resourceful, if you talk negatively about your prospects, if you talk negatively about your clients, your team will see you. And they are like toddlers. They will model your behavior. If you don't want your kids to cuss, you better watch your language. If you don't want your team to be a sack of you better not be a sack of If you do not set the vision, the values, and the standard, bold, italics, etc. constantly, your team is going to forget about them. They do not care about your business as much as you do. They can't. A good rule of thumb for whether or not you're selling the vision, the values, etc. enough, if they're not making fun of you and using your values language without prompting them, you are not telling them enough. So when we do our weekly level 10 meetings and whatnot, like I'll hear Kyle say, hey, Pedro, because one of our values is be a fan-fucking-tastic teammate. Hey, Pedro, you're a fan-fucking-tastic teammate. I saw you go above and beyond, whatever. If your team is not using your values language without prompting them, you are not telling them and showing them enough. Productive focus, CEO goggles, productive focus. What is the most urgent, impactful thing that I can be focusing on to grow my business versus focusing on the things that make you feel better about how bad you but you still focus. Examples. Nobody wants to work. Nobody wants to get a job right now. There's no loyalty in this business. People just aren't loyal to their companies anymore. Nobody's any good. I can't find any good people. I would argue that's sack of shit focus. That might make you feel better about how bad you suck, but guess what? You still suck. Let's do CEO goggles. How can I get more high quality applicants? What can I engineer? What can I control to solve this problem? There's no loyalty. Well, maybe instead, am I creating a place that's worth being loyal to? Am I a captain that is worth being loyal to? Is my business a business that is worth being loyal to? Again, what can you control? Nobody's any good. You can't find any good trainers. All the trainers in the area. Well, how can I create great trainers? How can I train them up as efficiently, effectively, etc. as possible? Which one is more useful? One side you got sack of shit focus. The other side, you got your CEO goggles on. More examples. My team won't do what I want. My clients aren't dedicated. Oh, I don't have clients that are dedicated to their fitness and strength. My market is hard. It's a really competitive market. Boo who? My team won't do what I want. Are you setting expectations? Are you creating support and coaching to help them reach those expectations? Are you holding your team accountable, creating accountability structures in your business to get them to do what you want? My clients aren't dedicated. Well, how can I make my clients more excited about being dedicated? How can I make it something they enjoy, they want to stick to? Versus just saying, my people. My market's hard. Great. How can I capitalize on this moat? If you're in a super competitive market or it's really expensive to advertise in your market, guess what? That's a positive thing. Because the reality is, if it was easy to go play in your market, guess what? Someone like me, someone like Mark, someone like James is going to move into your market. And they're going to eat your lunch because you're going to get lazy because your market's so easy. When it's hard, the B and C players can't just jump in and make money. When it's hard, you create a bigger moat when you are successful in that more competitive market. It's also you got the chance to have a bigger business because you're in a more competitive, larger market. Are we good on focus? Does that make sense? CEO goggles versus sack goggles. More musings. Again, the next wave. If you want to grow a 7-figure business, you must first become a 7-figure human. Your business is not going to outgrow who you are as a person. The reason I say that, so early on, we're thinking about this hiring stuff. It is highly unlikely that you're going to be able to, number one, find, and number two, afford anyone to get on your team that will play to your standard or above. It's just not going to happen. And if you do find somebody that comes in and they're more dedicated, work harder, everything else than you, guess what? They're gonna leave. Because level 10 talent will not play for a level 4 owner. Bottom line is you set the standard. I think it's the Sam Ovens thing. So you don't rise the level of your goals. Maybe it's Tony Robbins, who the knows. Everyone steals from everybody. You don't rise the level of your goals. You fall the level of your standards. Your business does not rise to the level of your vision. and the goals that you set in January this year, it falls to the level of your standards. And your team will typically not exceed your standards, particularly early on. You set the standard. The standard or leadership or values is not a poster on the wall. How many of you have core values in your business? That might be a worthy exercise, potentially. How many of you know them by memory off the top of your head? Not enough, right? So you're great, you have core values, you have a poster on the wall. That doesn't mean shit. Genuine, exceptional, innovative, involved. Get the out of here. You've got to know the language. Your team's got to live by it. You set the standard. It is not a poster on the wall. Last slide, I'm clicking too fast, is I think an Emerson quote. Your actions are speaking so loudly, I cannot hear what you're saying. Your actions as a leader are speaking so loudly that I can't hear you when you say, hey, Dusty, you need to work harder. And you're being a sack of shit, playing Xbox and doing Pornhub all day. Off the video, if you guys want me to tell you the Hunter story of what happened on a TV at a mastermind event.
I remember that.
Hunter's biggest takeaway that weekend was the use of an incognito window. The level 10. This is an example of a sack of shit leader. So I made the really bad mistake. This was years ago. Like, I'm gonna do some like real high touch consulting. I'm gonna run level 10 meetings for people. We had this guy, I'm really struggling with my team. Like, all right, we'll run some level 10, set up, create some accountability structures, whatever. And so we're a couple weeks in, and this guy, he just hired this team member a couple months ago. And she wasn't awesome, but she was pretty good. Like, she had the talent and the drive and whatever to be a really solid player, a soldier in any of our fitness businesses. The owner was frustrated. Oh, she's not doing her shit. Da, da, da. And so week one, we set some stuff. The owner didn't get any of his shit done. None of the things that we set. Well, neither did the employee. The next week, the owner, and these are very simple things. Like, the owner was responsible for following up with the leads. We go back and he literally made no follow-ups, no calls, no efforts, what have you. And he's trying to get with the employee not getting her things done. What do you think happened with that employee?
Left.
Exactly. And I left because I'm not going to work with a piece of owner that it's just not going to work. Level 10 talent will not play for a level 4 owner, at least not for long. What did she do? She found a job. Actually paid more too. But those people find a job that pays less just to not deal with your dumb ass because you're being a sack of shit. Level 10 talent will not play for a level 4 owner. Some of you have heard me talk about this, right? American football, just so you know, is a sport. Men put on tight pants and helmets and run into each other and create brain damage. That's what's part of my problem in my life. 2 years, basically the same team, right? One of them has a captain, a leader named Jameis Winston. And you're pretty talented. He'd beat any of us at pickup football and stuff like that. Maybe not me. I throw that football over that mountain over there. But pretty talented guy, right? 7-9, they missed the playoffs. The next year, they bring in the GOAT. They bring in somebody that creates organizational belief. I believe that this journey that I'm going on actually has a chance of succeeding. It's the same boat, right? Pretty much the same team. They had the same promise, the same mission. They were going on the same journey. Every team at the beginning of the year, I'm going to win the Super Bowl. Yeah. The difference between year 1 and year 2, the difference between the team that missed the playoffs and the team that won the Super Bowl is the team that won the Super Bowl believed it. And why do they believe it? Because the captain of the ship created that belief. And how did the captain of the ship create that belief? Did he do it with motivational speeches and shit? Hey, Jameis, he does some great motivational. They both do motivational speeches. The difference is when Tom Brady does it, they believe it. Everyone in the building believed that team was going to win a Super Bowl, and guess what they did? They had an engaged captain. So that team now believes, hey, it's worth it for me to do these extra workouts. It's worth it for me to fucking go all out. Whereas Jameis's team, let me cash my check, let me not get hurt, let me get to my next contract, because we ain't going anywhere. Sure, there's exceptions and whatever else, but in general, it's the belief in the captain. I also think, to be fair, there's a lesson in Brady's last year, because they did not, I don't know if they even made the playoffs, whatever, it doesn't matter. But they did not perform nearly as well as they did the year before. Well, is that captain fully engaged? He's fucking retired. It's like, nah, I'm good, I'm out. And then he's back, and then he's doing a bunch of personal shit, everything else. Guess what? I don't know, Cap's kind of checked out. Maybe I'm checked out too. Other factors, I'm sure, but in general, I would argue that Brady was not all there. And the organizational belief, the belief that the journey was worth it, the belief that we were actually going to get to the goal, was not as genuine.